Winning is obviously very important to you. Now, winning for winning's sake is important. But do you like to beat another man?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I like to beat him.
Well, you smile about it. You like to crush another man's ego?
69.9% of you are not subscribed. Well, what are you doing? Get to it then. Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to another MLB Show 21 video. Today we're going to be doing something a bit different. Today we're going to be doing a ranking system. We're going to be ranking every single Team Affinity Stage 2 boss, whatever you want to call it. We're not doing the henchmen. I'm not ranking the henchmen cards in the Season 2 Team Affinity. I'm only going to be ranking the main guys. So we got 30 guys to rank. We're going from number 30 to number 1. I saw a ranking system recently and I didn't really agree with it. It was more based on stats alone rather than the actual use of the card and knowing how it actually plays in game. So I'm going to be talking about cards of how they play in game and also going to be talking about their stats, of course. For the ones I have not used, I will be talking about stats, but I've used majority of these cards. Majority of these cards I've used in the past or this year, and I know that they're not good. So starting off with number 30, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to explain my reasonings as to why they're there and why they're like this. But number 30, Johnny Bench. 94 Johnny Bench second half. He is dog shit. Card looks good, don't get me wrong. On paper, it doesn't look bad. The 35 speed's a bit concerning with the 68 power versus righties. Looks a bit concerning. Rest of it looks great. The reason why shit, his swing, it's terrible. If you've played previous years, you know how bad this Johnny Bench is. He is bad. Number 29, Jordan Balazovic. Pretty obvious as to why this guy is ranked number 29. Nothing really special about him. He's kind of just a very basic pitcher, and when I look at him, he looks like a guy who's going to get lit up. For obvious reasons, I've not used him. He doesn't look good. He doesn't look at all good. 95 hit per 9, he doesn't hit 100 to really stick out. 97 stamina, doesn't hit 100 to even stick out. He's a very shitty looking pitcher at a 92 overall. Four-seam, curveball, slider, changeup. Not even a good pitch there. Not even like a different pitch to really change up his pitch mix. It's just the four basic pitches. He doesn't even throw outlier on his four-seam. This card's bad. Jackson Rutledge, you can pretty much see why this guy's also here at number 28. Pretty much they're on the same ranking, except this guy's just a tiny bit better, throwing a harder fastball and has the 104 hit per 9. Otherwise, this card looks the exact same. He's nothing special, nothing really good enough to go into anyone's rotation. Also a 92 overall. Overall doesn't exactly matter, not really at all actually. It's mainly just either swing, pitching form, pitch mix, stats, like hit per 9 being insane. His hit per 9's good. It's not crazy, but it's good. But the pitch mix being that bad and him not even having an outlier on his four-seam just makes me not want to use this card. He just doesn't look good. So he's coming in at number 28. Number 27 is Lou Gehrig. Now, don't get me wrong. This guy has a good swing, but my God, you cannot do this to him. Look at those stats. 125 contact versus righties. Great. I love it. But on platoon first baseman, there's already a guy on this list who makes that, and he's better. He's just better. So 125, 84 against righties, 72, 73 against lefties. Oh my God, you did him dirty. He looks so fucking bad. I don't know how this guy makes it to a 95 overall. I really don't. His defense ain't good. His hitting ain't good. His hitting's you know, like the righty stats are great. Otherwise, nothing really that great. The 94 vision's nice, but his lefty stats are terrible. I can't believe that this is a 95 overall. I really can't. Coming in at number 26 is Shane McClanahan. As you can see, he looks exactly like Jackson Rutledge and Jordan Balazovic. Really looks exactly like them. Only reason he's coming in just a bit higher than them, jumping a space in between and not really being on the same rank as them, is because he is a lefty. That's what changes about him. Lefty, you get that real advantage. A lot of people can hit righty, including myself. Lefty becomes a bit hard, but at the end of the day, he's still not that good. He really has just got that lefty advantage. You know, a lefty can be harder to hit than a righty for sure, so that's really the only advantage he gets. Otherwise, he's not a good card. He's not bad, I guess, but I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of him at all. I would never put this guy in my rotation. Coming in at number 25. Man, was I ever disappointed when I saw the Dodgers Team Affinity. If you do not know, I'm a Dodgers fan, and I was not happy when I saw this. He is parallel 1, so of course I used him a bit. He's not really crazy. He's, yet again, just like the other guys. I do like his form a little bit, and in the time I've used him, this does jump him up. So I've used him a good little bit, getting around 20 innings pitched with him so far, maybe a bit more than that. And he has around a 3 ERA, maybe a bit lower, maybe into the high 2s. But I know against better players, it was mainly events. Here and there, he would get lit up a bit. All right, he'd get hit a bit harder. He wouldn't look great. All right, so I know that this card is not that good. Bias is boosting him up a little bit, but he's the one I've used the most, and I don't hate him. I don't hate him, but man, that pitch mix sucks. 4-seam slider, changeup, curveball. Yet again, we're seeing this trend with all the pitchers. We're seeing this trend. The 4-seam slider, changeup, curveball. We're seeing it all over. And it fucking sucks. I will put him above the rest because I've used him more than the rest. And I got a good idea of how good he can be. And he's not been bad, but I just know that at the end of the day, the pitching mix and the stats not sticking out crazy amount is just going to hold him back still. So that's why he is ranked number 25. Coming in at number 24, Joe Torre. He looks great on paper. This card looks great. 125, 125 on the contact. 84, 62, not bad. Defense, decent. It's not terrible. It's not going to cause a liability by any means. And he can play third, catcher, and first. Pretty good. But if you're a new player, you will be deceived into thinking this card is good. These stats will deceive you into thinking this is a good player, when really he is not. This 96, Joe Torre, is absolute dog shit. I can guarantee you he is terrible. All right, he ain't good. The 96 Joe Torre has a terrible swing. And MLB 18, there was a mission where you had to get 2 doubles with him. It was one of the most impossible things you could ever imagine. He was tough. So nobody's really trusted him since, and when we try to trust him, he doesn't do good. So I would not go anywhere near this card. All right, Bryce Torre. All right, now this guy I'm going solely based off stats. I've not touched him. I've not used him even a little bit. Now, when you look at this card, it looks a bit ugly. It really does, because you look at that 58 and 50 power. You don't like to see that. Something that's good about him, though, he bats lefty. That's great. I don't really like these contact guys when they bat from the right side. 94, 102 contact, great. 58, 50 power is just at that point where if you do square up a ball, it's probably going to leave if you square it up enough. 90 fielding, he hits that diamond at shortstop, and as a shortstop, that's pretty good. 89 speed, pretty good, but yet again, you got to remember this guy's still ranked at 23. So at the end of the day, with 58 and 50 power, I'm going to go on a limb here and say maybe he's not that good. Shortstop and second, lefty swing, he just does not pop out a crazy amount. So compared to the other guys, I would say that he is probably below them. All right, Robert Poisson. Don't really know how to say his last name. Poisson? I don't know. But he is above Bryce Torre for obvious reasons, really. He's kind of the same card. You really look at it, he plays shortstop, second, and third, so he gets third instead of just shortstop and seconds. There's an added bonus. If you put him in secondary position, he still has diamond fielding, so that's better. He has better speed, and he has a bit better power, and he's also a switch hitter. But when it comes to hitting, nothing really sticks out. He doesn't get 100 plus contact on either sides. He doesn't break his 70 power threshold on either side. So that's why he still holds back and is just not really too much better than Bryce Torre. He's either tied or not tied. I wouldn't say he's tied. He's just a bit better because everything is just a bit better. Number 21 is Sam Huff. Gotta say, people, they look at this card, they like it. I don't really see it. 80, 91 contact. That's not that good. 54 vision. That's also really bad. Fielding 80. Okay. It's decent. 90 arm. Pretty good. 56 speed. It's just below average. The 105 and 102 power is what I think catches everybody's eye. But there's another guy who could play catcher in here who is just straight up better. Because in my opinion, when it comes to MLB The Show, when you are a catcher, unless you're like out of position, like fielding does not matter. All right, I've had Mike Piazza and someone else that I'm not going to list up yet, but I've had Mike Piazza. I've had only shitty fielders be on the plate this year, and they've all done fine. They've all done just great, because there is a problem. The only reason, his arm becomes irrelevant. You want to know why? Because when you try to throw someone out, no matter what, it has that weird delay of you trying to throw them out. The bar will have a weird delay of you throwing them out to the point where 95% of the time you are not going to throw at a batter, because the bar just doesn't come up. So that is pretty irrelevant. Fielding, it's kind of irrelevant too, because they blocked shit anyway. Even when their fielding stats are shit, when their blocking stats are shit, they still do it. So it really doesn't make a difference. And a lot of people don't really challenge pass balls either, because they're way too afraid of the base running. So fielding, don't take it into account really too much when you look at a catcher, because it does not play a huge effect. Coming in at number 20 is Brandon Webb. Not really a good card. We're still in the like bunch of like meh to bad cards, and he is still in there throwing a sinker, curveball, changeup, cutter, four seam. That is really what carries him into being a meh card. Him not being, lower down the list. Him staying at number 20 and not being, I guess, higher, I would say. Him being above 20 rather than like 19 or below. His hit per nine's bad, 83. That's pretty bad. He's got 115 stamina though, so he can go far into a game if he ends up doing good. His sinker doesn't come in fast, so you're not going to overpower that pitch, and his four seems close in velocity. His cutter, 88. Changeup, 79. Curveball, 77. It's not really too crazy. It's just that he's got a different pitch mix. He's got that sinker and cutter in there, and those are two pretty good pitches to add to your pitch repertoire. So it kind of carries him to being a number 20. Coming in at number 19 is Isaac Paredes. Now, I know a decent amount of people actually do like this card. For me personally, I don't see why. I've used him myself. He's a ground ball machine. His swing just doesn't lift the ball. I've used him so much, actually, and when I swing at that ball, it just does not come off the ground. There are so many times where he just keeps it on the ground, and that kills him. He's also a third baseman, second baseman, or shortstop with only 46 speed, 77 fielding, which is decent, but it doesn't even hit cold fielding. And he's got 100 contact, so he's not great by any means. 100's good, but like you get into the higher difficulties of Hall of Fame or Legend, it starts to look kind of bad. 79, 68 power is a bit low, and is probably what's causing him to hit on the ball so often. Or hit on the ground so often, I should say. I just don't see his swing lifting the ball off the ground too often. Not often enough for me to even think this card's legitimately good. Coming in at number 18 is Hank Aaron. A lot of people shit on this card. A lot of people do shit on this card, talking about how bad it is. I think it's really not that bad. It's not that bad. Hank Aaron, for me, has had a decent swing. Not a great swing. He's had a decent swing. He's not like Isaac Paredes, where he's been hitting the ball on the ground nonstop. He's not like Joe Torre, who can't get an extra base hit to save his life. He's not like Johnny Bench, who can't even fucking get a base hit. All right, he's not that bad. He's 67 speed, above average. He's got 85 fielding, very balanced fielding across the board. So with that speed being above average and that fielding being pretty balanced at a good point across the board, it's not bad. His hitting also pretty balanced except for his 125 contact against lefties. His 85 and 75 power is not, or his 85 and 77 power is not bad. 97 vision definitely helps him, and the 85 contact is not complete dog shit, but in the higher difficulties that I play in, that will be pretty bad. But he is a good guy to face for lefties. He's also got third baseman as a secondary, and that's kind of what carries him. I'm not gonna lie, him having outfield eligibility along with third base, that's a rare sight to see. To get a center fielder who can field and play the infield with above average speed and some very balanced hitting stats is just not something you really see. So it's kind of a good card. I mean, it's not great. I mean, it's not top 15. Like, he's not my top 15. He's in my bottom 15. But he's getting there to being decent. He needs better. He needed better stats. He did. His contact had to get a bit higher, and his power had to get a bit higher, I would say, against righties for me to really go ahead and give him the go-ahead to really be good. Coming in at number 17 is Tony Gwynn. Now, this card actually looks pretty good. 125 contact. You like to see that. He will have the highest PCI you could pretty much get with that 117 vision along with it. 45, 48 power. That is pretty damn low. He's under the 50s for power. getting to the point where you're probably not really going to hit any home runs with this guy. 80 fielding, he hits gold, okay. But if you put him in the corner, if you put him in center field or left, you kind of lose that. And so you lose gold fielding when you don't put him in right. But also in right field, there's not really people who can field, but they hit really fucking well. So this is like the kind of guy you'd want in center. But losing that gold fielding kind of sucks. He's also got 70 speed, and for a guy that gets down into the silver fielding, you kind of want something around like 80 speed, especially if you're going to throw him in center. But as long as he's in right, 80 fielding with 70 speed is fine. That's completely fine. Honestly, in the corners, if they have 70 speed, they're fine. Most of the time when they're in the corners, if they have some sort of speed, no matter the fielding, unless it's like Nelson Cruz or JD Martinez, like with 70 speed, they're going to be fine. But yeah, no, considering this is the kind of card you'd want in center, it definitely hurts. It definitely hurts this card quite a bit, having such low power, fielding going down to silver, and the speed not being particularly high. It's not that good of a card, and that's why he ranks at number 17. At number 16, we have Johnny Damon. Now, this is a guy who really proves my point along with what I just said. He is just above Tony Gwynn because, personally, I love Johnny Damon's swing. I think it's better than Tony Gwynn's for my kind of play style that is. I like hitting bombs. Johnny Damon hits a surprising amount of home runs. His swing, 59-58 power, really actually isn't that bad, and that's probably why. Along with his pretty decent swing, I think with that power being just high enough, he hits a decent amount of bombs, more than you would think. 112, 125 contact is really good with the 105 vision, so he's just about as good as Tony Gwynn when it comes to your PCI size, but just not. The fielding, this is probably where people are going to be like, what the actual fuck is wrong with you? 71 fielding, really bad. Well, pretty bad, not really bad. Really bad is Nelson Cruz. 57 arm, pretty bad. That's really bad, actually. 63 accuracy, pretty bad. 80 reaction. 85 speed. This is what you got to take into account. His reaction being at 80 and his speed being at 85 makes everything else pretty much irrelevant. 71 fielding, I don't really exactly know what the fielding stat brings into a part rather than the size of the baseball when you're going to catch it, because the reaction is what matters. You want that first step to work out. And the first step is when the other guy hits a ball in play, your guy's going to take a first step. He could take it the wrong way, he could take it the right way, and that's based on his reaction. This guy's reaction is at 80. Most of the time, he's going to be making that right step, and he has 85 speed. So he's going to be getting everywhere. And in center field, you really don't need an arm, because even when you have a really good arm, in center field, you're really just not going to be throwing anyone out. You try to throw out somebody, you try to have a 99 arm in center field, and you try to get behind it and throw someone out from third to home, in deep center, you're just not going to make it. Even with a perfect throw, most of the time, it's just not going to happen. Coming in at number 15, this is going to be interesting how people feel about this. I think he is dead average. Cliff Lee. I do not think he is as good as people think. I don't know how the widespread of people feel about it, but from the people I know, they think this card looks pretty good. I can understand why. 97 overall. 97 overall is what catches their eyes. 115 stamina, 103 K per 9. You're seeing two glowing lights. You're like, oh, okay, you know, he looks pretty good. 88 hit per 9, not that great. Lefty, kind of good, right? 92 sinker, cutter, circle change, knuckle curve, four seam. Looks good. In game, it just doesn't transfer. For me personally, this is why he's hitting dead average and not fucking just going up to like number 20, alright? For me personally, in the small amount of time I've used him, he's done good. He hasn't given up a run. He's done a good amount. He's produced. But in the time that I've faced him, I have completely fucked him up. He has yet to get a good outing against me, and that is exactly why I throw him at number 15, because I absolutely destroy this card. If I see this card on the mound, even in World Series, if I see this card on the mound, I'm happy. I am smiling from ear to ear, going like, great, this is a W. And it has been every single time when Cliff Lee has come on the mound. I have absolutely destroyed this guy. Coming in at number 14, just above average, is Torre Hunter. On paper, this card looks absolutely insane. He really does. 73 speed, 96 field, and 92 reaction. The hitting is also good. 93, 117, 80, 94, 80 vision. But personally, for the swing, other than the leadoff home run, if you saw that when I did the second season team Affinity, he hit a leadoff home run. I ended up losing that game though. Yeah, he hit a leadoff home run. He surprised me when he did that. This guy's never been good in the past for me, and he still isn't doing good. Ever since that home run, he really hasn't done shit. He's not that good of a card. People keep on getting him. They keep on picking him up because he looks good. But personally, in my opinion, he just ain't a good card. The only reason he's getting above average is because of his stats. It's the only reason. Coming in at number 13 is Willie Mays. This one is pretty questionable amongst most people. I mean, he really just isn't that good when it comes to paper. I mean, 78 contact versus lefties. That's fucking low. 98, not bad, but that being his highest is kind of concerning. 86, 90 power, 90 vision, 87 fielding, 91 arm, 89 arm accuracy, and 92 reaction with that 79 speed. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. But the hitting stats, they're not that great. They're not really good. But his swing, if you've used Willie Mays in the past, you know that he's a great card. You know that his swing works. And for me, it's just been working. So that is why he makes it up to number 13, because I put straight up production over stats when it comes to me using them. Coming in at number 12 is Ripken Jr., a card I've actually not used myself yet, but him being a shortstop, he can't play anywhere else. It hurts him, I know. But coming in as a shortstop, 91 fielding, 95 arm, 91 accuracy, 83 reaction, 56 speed's kind of weak, but the hitting stats are there. 65 power is the only thing lacking. But I love Ripken's swing. I fucking can't get enough of it. The stats is what brings him down to a 12, but the history of how he's been in the past years is what keeps him at a 12. That's what keeps him there. So I'm expecting him to be a pretty good card, and we'll just have to see. Maybe I'll have to do an updated rank list. Probably. I probably won't. But this is just how I feel about him right now. I think he's good. The stats, I have to be a bit of a, devil's advocate here. I gotta understand, the stats don't really look good, so I gotta bring him down a bit. Coming in at number 11 is Edgar Martinez. I really like Edgar Martinez's cards. This card, just every time he comes out with a card like this, his hitting stats are pretty damn good. 69 power versus lefties, not the greatest, right? It's not that good, but 121, 90, 96, love that. And personally, I do love hitting righty, and his stats being insane against righties is fucking great. Most of the time, you're not even going to be facing lefties. There's not many lefties in the game, I guess, but there's not many lefties people really use, I should say. His fielding not being good is not really a problem because he plays first base. His speed not being really good is not a problem because he plays first base. But also, it's not to a point where it's in the 20s where it's going to be even a fucking problem on the base pass. 40 is fine on the base paths. That's just enough. So I'll take it. 94 vision also is pretty good. 125 discipline. I don't really know if they take that into account this year, but I have been finding to do pretty good when it comes to check swinging. So yeah, for the greatest DH of all time, I can say he is a pretty damn good guard.
Hard hit into right, back at the wall, tie game! Big Puppy, the grand slam!
Coming in at number 10, this card was a bit of a sleeper to me. I didn't really realize how good he was until I took a few looks at him. He is a 95 overall Quinn Priester. He has a 4-seam curveball, changeup, sinker, slider. To think all it takes for somebody like Josiah Gray to go from a 25th rank to a number 10 is a sinker. Welcome to MLB The Show. He has 97 stamina, 94 hit per 9. Doesn't really stick out on any of his stats, but he's got a sinker. And he throws it at 95. He throws it hard. He doesn't throw it at 92. He throws it at 95 with that 97 fastball. He also brings his changeup, curveball, and slider down to the low 80s. So the pitch mix isn't great, but he's got that sinker, and really, I kid you not, it fucking carries him. But the fact that he throws it hard, he is getting carried by this sinker. Without that sinker, he is in the high 20s. That's just how it is. Coming in at number 9, a card that people really just don't understand how good he is Jimmy Fox. He can play first, third, and catcher. I don't play him at first and third. I only exclusively play him at catcher. And you can see those fielding stats. They are fucking terrible. But has he been a liability beyond the plate? Not a bit. Not one little bit. He's been hitting over 400 for me. Even against righties, he's doing good. Even though that PCI is small as fuck with 75 contact versus righties. His lefty stats are insane though. And his righty stats, when it comes to power release, can't handle itself. He is just in the game this year. I was a bit worried because I saw the contact versus righties. I was like, man, this looks like Acuna without the fielding or the speed. It's kind of what he is. But in game, the swing is just as fucking good as I remember. If you played in previous years, you will know that this card is good. Above Sam Huff, I don't think fielding's really that crazy. But let's head on to number 8. At number 8, we got Garrett Crochet. He has an outlier on his 4-seam fastball. He's a slider, changeup, and 2-seam. I've heard things that like he would be a good card if you got rid of the 2-seam and you put in a sinker. He'd be a better card. But he's still really good with that 2-seam. His pitch mix ain't great, as in there's not a lot of pitches. But that 2-seam, if you know how to use it correctly, you can kind of make this card just stupidly filthy. He's got that 97 hit per 9, 92 stamina. He's not going to go a ton of innings for you. I usually throw him in for about 5 innings, but those 5 innings are 5 dominant innings where he's striking out over half the batters. His 4-seam coming in at outlier really helps him, considering it ends up being a 102 4-seam to an 87 slider. His slider has a ton of break on it. Holy fuck, that thing moves. It's ridiculous. I've gotten a lot of ugly swings pitching that slider. And his 2-seam, if you start it up and in, away from the strike zone, let it break. Because of his breaks being so high, let that thing break into the strike zone and just do a backdoor 2-seam. They'll strike out looking over 90% of the time. You can really use that thing like it's a sinker or cutter and just take advantage of it. I personally love 2-seams. I can really make them into some filthy pitches. I love using them. So that's why this card gets up at number 8. He's a fun card to pitch with. Coming in at number 7 is Roy Oswalt. Roy Oswalt's always been a pitcher I'm high on. I have always loved my Roy Oswalt cards, while people usually do shit on them, as not hitting them hard, but more like saying they're just bad cards. Thing about him that really hurts him to others, or I guess to me, maybe, yeah, on paper, 79 hit per 9. That's a really bad stat. Hit per 9, lower it is, bigger the PCI is for the other player. So he would, the opposite player would have a pretty big PCI. But when it really comes down to it, you look at that pitch mix, that's fucking disgusting. 4-seam sinker, 12-6 curve, a slider, and a changeup. You can throw in a 94 sinker that'll sometimes come in at 96, and then throw in a 72 mile an hour 12-6 curve that can sometimes come in all the way down to 68. That changeup, perfect. That 12-6 curve, perfect. Just a bit more break than the changeup. Slider, you got that horizontal movement. You got the vertical movement. You got the 2 fast pitches, including the sinker. This card is insane. Like, you can't down on this card. You cannot shit on this card. Alright, I'm sorry, but if you shit on this card, if you hit it well, good for you. Alright, but personally, I pitch fucking amazing with this card. I love Roy Oswalt cards. They also changed his form this year for the better. I felt that his form last year was a bit easy to hit. I did struggle a bit with him last year, having like a 3.5 ERA. But this year, yeah, I can tell in the time that I've used him, it's going to be much lower because his form is just a bit different enough for him to be a bit harder to hit. Now, this is going to be a controversial pick. Number 6, Mark Prior. People are going to question this one. Having a 4-seam slurve, curveball, changeup. Yeah, so his horizontal movement's a slurve, which still kind of works. His slider curveball can kind of throw them off. Coming in at a 95 fastball, an 83 slurve, a 79 curveball, and an 82 changeup. His off speeds all sit around the same exact velocity. The thing that carries this card, I have used him, and man, even against good players, it just works. The way he releases the ball out of his hand, it's a weird snap that just causes the batter to just not be ready. They're not ready to hit. They can't react to the pitch in time, and the slurve is absolutely disgusting. He has 99 break. That slurve breaks a shit ton. He is filthy with that slurve. I've gotten so many ugly swings when pitching that pitch. This card has been so dominant for me when I've used him so far. I've used him at No Money Spent. I've used him in my main squad, and in both ways he has done perfect. He has yet to even give up. I think he's actually given up 1 run across both accounts so far. So he's been filthy. He does good. So yeah, that's why he comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, I was talking about how there's a better guy to platoon against righties compared to Luke Gehrig, is Jim Tome. Jim Tome is an insane looking card. He really is. 119, 125 against righties, 74 against lefties, and 100 against lefties. 52 vision. This is where it kills him. This is where he still sticks at a number 5 because the hitting stats are still insane, but he really is only a guy I personally like to use against righties. That 74 contact versus lefties is just a little too bad for me to even really make contact enough. But the righty stats, they're insane. They're basically maxed out. He is 6 away from being maxed out completely. Righty. His vision is a little low. It's not a little low, it's really low, so that hurts him. His speed is pretty low too, so it's a bit of a problem on the base paths, but he plays it first, so that at least doesn't take into account over there, and neither does the fielding. That stuff's pretty much irrelevant. Really, all you gotta take in is the speed for the base running and the lefty stats that are pretty bad. But otherwise, he is a very good card, and if you can hit lefty, you'll have a fun time with this card. And if you also don't play in World Series, you'll also have a great time with this card because that PCI size really will just not matter. Otherwise, this card is a great card, and I think he's way better than Lou Gehrig, and I think he is a great first baseman to have. Coming in at number 4, one of my favorites by far, Dante Bichette. Plays right field. This is what I was talking about when I said fielding. You don't really care for it to be too high. His arm being low is what kind of brings him down to number 4. But him having 70 speed keeps him up there, and his hitting stats are just, they're fucking crazy. 100, 125, 95, 105 with 92 vision. Nothing is weak there. 5 below 100 is still great. Nothing is weak when it comes to his hitting stats. If you can get by his stance, he is an amazing card. That's all you have to get by. If you can deal with his stance being a bit weird, and you're fine. This card's going to do great for you. I hit with Justin Turner for a while last year, and I did great with him. He's kind of the guy who helped me get by the stances being a problem for me. And so Dante Bichette, his stance is not even close to a problem for me, and I absolutely rake with him. And in the field, he's not been a liability. He really is not. He hasn't really had to throw anyone out, so that hasn't really shown up to be a problem yet. But he hasn't really not run down anything yet that he would normally run down if he had better reaction or better speed. That really just has not shown up for me yet. So far in the amount of time I've played with him, which is around 10 games, he's done pretty damn good for me. At number 3, we got Jordan Groshans. This card, pretty damn nice. He really just does not have a weak spot besides his power versus lefties being a bit low, and the vision being at 79, which is a bit low too. Otherwise, his fielding, very good. His speed at 70, that's good. That's good. 70 is definitely the mark where you're like, all right, you got good speed. He's got 102, 100 contact, pretty good. The thing that kind of hurts him is that he can only play shortstop and third. I definitely like these guys who can play shortstop to play second. And his power being 92-86, with him only being a righty, kind of keeps him at number 3 compared to the other guy. There's another shortstop in here, and he kind of carries over this guy because of other things he has carrying over him. But he is still a very good card. Don't get me wrong. He is top 3, so don't think I'm shitting on this guy. He is still one of the best ones you can get out of the Team Affinity program. Now, I decided to change it up for most. Most people put this guy at number 1. I'm putting him at number 2. Edgar Cabrera. He's a great card, guys. Okay, don't get me wrong. This card is probably number 1, but personally, no. He throws in a sinker at outlier, so it's coming in at 99 to 100. It's unhittable. He's got a 4-seam changeup, curveball, slider. Thing that really doesn't do it for me. I would rather have maybe the 4-seam. If he had the 4-seam gone, straight up, I kid you not, take out the 4-seam, put in a cutter. He's probably the best pitcher literally in the game. There are a few guys who can compete with this guy. If he had a cutter, nobody competes with him. Not even close. But there are still a few cards that do compete with him because he's got that straight fastball that allows you to make a mistake. A straight fastball can allow you to make mistakes here and there, but the second you take that away, man, people who sit on those 4-seam fastballs, they're fucked. They're not going to touch you, and there's a lot of people that are like that. And the cutter mixed with an outlier sinker, oh, they're going to be early in the cutter every single time. Otherwise, he's still an amazing card. He's still top 2. He's still debatably number 1. He's a great card. Don't get me wrong. All right. Here we are. Number 1, Ronnie Mauricio. You already knew it. You already knew it when you saw Edward at second. You're like, holy shit, this guy really just put Ronnie at number 1. He can also only play shortstop and third and not play second, which kind of sucks. His speed being still 3 speed above average, so there you go. It's somewhat above average, so I will take that. He also has 89 fielding, 96 arm, 88 accuracy, and 95 reaction. He's damn near impeccable when it comes to fielding, and I also have him at just parallel 1. He's straight up impeccable. He gets that diamond fielding, and he gets all those other stats being insane too. He's got decent hitting at 96-90. I like it. 97 power. I like it. 83 power against lefties is a bit weak. Thing about him, he's a switch hitter. I've also used him a lot when it comes to online play, and he's been insane. He's hitting over 400. He's hitting with power. He's fucking doing great. He's not doing anything wrong. So with him being a switch hitting, good fielding, above average speed, shortstop, he's one of the fucking best cards in the game. I fucking love it. The hitting stats really just do not come into effect for being weak for me. They really don't. His PCI could be a bit small, but he still gets on pitches and rakes. So he's a great card. So that's why I put him in at number 1, and that is going to do it for my ranking list. This took over 40 minutes to record, which is kind of insane. I wanted to make this a bit short, but 40 minutes it's gonna be. So yeah, boys, hit the thumbs up button if you did enjoy. Comment down below, what is your ranking system? Tell me your number 1 guy. Who is your number 1 and your number 30? Tell me your worst guy in the Team Affinity second season and your best. But yeah, boys, that's gonna do it for the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.